Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And it is time for the Play at Props video we love to bring you each and every weekday. Nice start to the week with a 4-0 Monday night. About 3.5 units earned there. Looking to keep that hot here. Make sure you do check out Nate's great article up on playpicks.com as well with some best bets and player props in there. And like and subscribe to the page. We got a couple other videos for you up about a couple other games on a pretty fun Tuesday night slate. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight's Play Up Props. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I want to look at that Brooklyn Lakers game in Brooklyn. Obviously, there will be no Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant, and that means James Harden will see a huge workload. There's only been 2 of those situations thus far. He kind of sputtered in that first one. I mean, the whole team did as they lost to the Thunder. But then the next time out, he goes for 27, 8, and 15 assists against the Pelicans. So now in his last 3 home games, and they're not all in this situation, he's averaging 26.3 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 12.3 assists. Now facing a Lakers team that he hit for a triple-double, 36, 10, and 10 in LA on Christmas. That's, again, with Kevin Durant playing. It's a Lakers team that gives up exactly what Harden wants to do in terms of their 28th in three-point defense, 27th in assists allowed over their last 5. And they've been playing at a much slower pace lately, which you'd think would not benefit an over on a prop. But that's the thing with James Harden is he's a half-court maestro, right? You don't see him scoring that often in the open court at this point in his career. It's when his team gets into a half-court set, it's just like, okay, James, get us a shot. And that's why my favorite prop is actually him getting over 2.5 threes, which is pretty good odds, at DraftKings, nearly even money, because he's taking a lot more threes with these guys out. The Lakers are struggling to guard the three-point line, and I think there will be a lot of stagnant possessions in this game where he just hoists. I think you feel good about the assists, 40.5 points in assists. As long as Nick Claxton's playing, I think you feel even better about that. He has a chance to return from a hamstring injury tonight. He's been out a while, and that would certainly help boost his stock. But, I mean, the ball's going to be in his hands a ton in this game, and he should probably get over his scoring prop, 28.5. And then, it's just a matter of will he get double-digit assists as well? And you have to assume he will when he's that ball dominant and playing 40 minutes a game.
Yeah, it's going to be James Harden on the Rockets essentially. I think tonight, and that's fun. If you want to bet on that, I really want to take those 28 points and a win for plus 285. You mentioned his point total his prop is at 28.5, so he just needs one less point than 28 basically and a win. It's Brooklyn at home, which is the worst team covering the spread at home. And if they were on the road, I might feel a little bit better about it, to be honest. But either way, I do like his props without the win, especially those points and assists, and especially those 3-pointers made 2.5. I think that's easy money. It's minus 110, but him to hit 3 threes tonight, I think he's going to be shooting plenty of those, looking for like 10 3-point attempts. I think he's got 3 of those in him for sure. So moving on to a guy on the Minnesota Timberwolves, Ant Edwards. We've targeted him before, and it definitely works when you do so against Portland, as they are very, very bad on defense and continue to be so. His points tonight is at 21.5. Really like that because it's minus 104 at FanDuel. If you like him to hit 4 3-pointers as well, which he's been doing at a really nice clip in terms of his 3-point shooting as of late, which we'll talk about, 3.5 3-pointers made is plus 130 on DraftKings. Looking at his points again, he's got at least 21 in all 4 meetings versus Portland that he's played them. He's averaging 26 points against them and 3.5 3-pointers made, right at that prop for him tonight against Portland. On the road, also really good in his last 7 road games, averaging 24 with 4 3-pointers made on about 10 attempts. So you feel good about the amount of shots, of 3-point shots he's getting on the road there. If he's shooting 10, you got to like him to hit 3. He's been hitting over 4 in those situations. So, Portland dead last in 3-point defense, allowing teams to shoot at a clip of 37%. And their defense efficiency at home, it's awful. It's 27th in the league. And we know points seem to be scored more so in these Portland games in Portland than out. So yeah, I think Ant, you could feel really, really good about his points tonight at 21.5. If you want to get a little bit more juice on DraftKings, 4 3-pointers, like we said on the road, what he's been hitting anyway, you get plus 130 there.
Yeah, and really it's the Wolves scoring more on the road. Their points go up about 9 points per game in their road games. You see this total at 232 and climbing because Portland's been a little bit better defensively on the road, but now they're playing more shootouts at home. They're taking a ton of threes. So this game has kind of that run and gun feel to it. And Yusuf Nurkic has been a monster down low. So I don't think we would lean towards Cat in terms of his scoring, which means I like both D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards to carry the load here against the Blazers. Now we move to the MVP segment of our player props, and two guys that cannot be stopped right now. I certainly don't expect Joel Embiid to be stopped by these Pelicans as they play the second half of a back-to-back tonight. The Pelicans have been bad on the road. They're 7-17 straight up, and they're 1-6 straight up on a back-to-back. So first inclination is just to look at the player performance doubles for Embiid, maybe 35 plus in a win at some plus money there. But the blowout factor is a concern for me because of how bad they've been on the road. Yet you're looking at a guy who's had 50 points in 27 minutes, who's only averaging 32 minutes per game in his last five, but scoring 35 points per game in that span. And it's just incredible what he's done. And then in his last two home games, really taking over 90 points, 27 free throw attempts, shooting 68% for the field on a 48% usage rate. So 31.5 points is slowly climbing up in terms of his prop, but he's obviously been hovering at 31 plus for now 13 of his last 14 games. He's hit 31 points. So Jonas Valanciunas is not a guy that scares me in terms of being able to guard Embiid the way he's opened up his off the dribble game, his array of floaters. I think it might actually kind of benefit him to have a slow guy that puts a hand up in his face. And if you know, as a good shooter, when you get that hand slightly in your face, it's sometimes easier to make the shot. And Embiid is just absolutely on fire right now. And the Sixers are having no issues just handing him the ball every single time down the floor. So 31.5 points at minus 106. Pretty comfortable. And then the all-around production is there. So if you want to go 40.5 points rebounds or 46.5 PRA, I wouldn't stop you.
Yeah, 100%. I'd love the double-double in a victory just because I think either way he gets those 10 points. I think that's where I go. He does have some numbers against Valanciunas that are a little bit, make you hesitate a little bit. But it's also, if you look at it a little bit more closely, he's only averaging about 20 and 10 in his career in 8 games when he's going up against Valanciunas. But he's also only averaging 27 minutes in those games because you look at how much the 76ers have actually been blowing out either the Grizzlies or whichever team Valanciunas has been.
I think he was injured in one of the last two meetings.
And he was hurt. That's what I'm saying is those minutes were way down as well in those times. And like you said, he's been hobbled in a couple of them. And also, as I mentioned, they've been blowing out the team that Valanciunas plays. I do think there's a little bit of a worry about the blowout tonight, which is why I think he still gets his 10 boards though with 10 points. We know he's getting 20 points. Is he getting 30? Probably. I mean, he's 50 and 40 back to back. But either way, that's not what's scaring me right now. I don't think anybody's stopping him. I would consider 3 threes for Embiid in a win. Just if you think he might be trying to step outside a little bit on a guy who's a lot bigger and slow footed. I do see him getting the ball out a little bit further from the basket before he starts his moves, which gives him the ability to either shoot it from the 3-point line or just pretty much be quicker than Valanciunas, which he is, and getting to the rim against him that way. But either way, yeah, I would stick with the double-double there in the victory and feel really, really good about it. The man is definitely getting his on the boards as well. And you mentioned this is the MVP segment because we're talking about probably hit the biggest threat to him. Steph Curry still has the shortest odds, but either way, I still think Jokic and Embiid are still great value picks right now for MVP. And so I'm turning to Jokic, who in his last 5 games has had a triple-double 4 times. In those 5, he's averaging 30, 12, and 11 in 37 minutes a game with a 28% usage rate. I mean, we're just saying things you already know. The Nuggets give the ball to Joker, and he does really good things with it. His PRA tonight is at 45.5 on FanDuel, minus 104. They're playing the Pistons, and in his last 2 versus Detroit over the last couple, or in his last 3, versus Detroit over the last 2 seasons, 27 points, 11 boards, and 10 rebounds. You worry about the blowout a little bit, but if you look at the matchup in this game, the home team has actually won 7 of the last 8 matchups. This one's in Detroit. Denver has failed to cover the spread in their last 4, and on the road this season, Denver not very good, 9-4. 14 against the spread, 3-6 against the spread when they are road favorites. So I'm not too worried about the blowout. I'm still feeling pretty good about Joker needing to keep his team in this game, getting his 37 to 40 minutes to put this thing away. And, his point total is at 26.5 right now. Wouldn't feel bad about that, but the 45.5 PRA, when you consider, he's likely to get anywhere from 13 to 15 rebounds as well. I mean, in his last 3 games alone, averaging 26 points, or averaging 30 points in that, he scored 26 in all 3 of those. And 13 boards and 10 assists. So look, all over the place, the man is just he's filling the stats. 45.5 feels really low for him when usually it's closer to 49.5 to 51.5. This feels like a pretty good value bet in a game that I don't think is going to be a blowout tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they barely beat the Pistons in Denver a couple weeks ago, or earlier this week, in fact. And I wouldn't expect Denver to really blow out anybody these days. They're just completely leaning on Jokic. But you look at, I like the points the most because he scored 34 in that last meeting, and the Pistons started Isaiah Stewart on him. And then they bring Trey Lyles off the bench as their other big man option. And neither of those guys go over 6'10", very low center of gravity. I mean, Jokic has no problem just shooting over the top of them. And the way that the Nuggets are shorthanded, they will always lean on him to handle the scoring.
Yeah, for sure. So either way, going to be a fun one tonight. A lot of good matchups as we look at a couple of these stars. It should be having some pretty big nights tonight, liking a lot of overs there. We'll look to continue to stay hot on these player props with you guys, 4-0 to start the week and build upon that. So until we see you next, happy betting.